Everyone rise and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. If you've got a cell phone on you, if you would please turn it on or silence it, that would be much appreciated. I don't want to turn it off. Okay. Thank you very much. Item 1, roll call. I think that's you.
It's me, John Hedges.
Here.
Cheryl Armstrong here. Heidi Larson here. Ashley Overton here. Erica Weaver here. Jacob Uphaw
Here.
And Dale Ryder.
Here. Item 2.1, the sports recognition, spring sports recognition. Mr. Duckett.
We'll got soccer. Who's first? Who got there? Soccer first. Let's go soccer. Oh yeah, Coach Morgan's here. Good, good. And Coach Carey. All right. Come on, I'll get out of the way. All right, so this is our girls soccer team, and I'm gonna let Coach Morgan kind of go over a little bit about the season, and then we'll let the girls introduce themselves, ask seniors what their future plans are. So, Coach Morgan, go right ahead.
These young ladies had a fantastic season. We started out strong, had some bumps in the road, and then towards the end of the season, come postseason, we really stepped it up. We were the 5 seed. Nobody expected us to do much, playing the schools from St. Louis, and we came in and we knocked both of them off at Charleston. At one point, Mascuda told Charleston not to schedule officials because they just played in St. Louis for Friday. So we surprised a lot of people, and like I said, it's because of these young ladies. Good group to be around. Great job this year. Ended up being regional champions. Woo.
All right, girls. So if you just give your name, and if you are a senior, if you're graduated, you're leaving us, if you would let us know where you will be heading come fall. So we'll start right here on this end.
Okay. I'm Marley Van Hovelen, and I'm going to Eastern and majoring in sports management.
I'm Lily Gregory. I'm going to Greenville and playing tennis and majoring in nursing. I'm Evie Bell. I'm going to Eastern and I'm majoring in nursing. I'm Sophie Yerkin.
I'm Cameron Lagrove. I'm Molly Stewart.
I'm Maggie Hughes.
I'm Lauren Haney.
I'm Brooklyn Redfern.
I'm Ellen Hilser.
I'm Tegan Sewell. I'm going to Lakeland and major in social work.
Very good. We got all state selection.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Lily Gregory was all-state.
So congratulations. 2-time, right? Back
Yeah,
to the
back to
second
back.
year. And Lily, you were also all-state in tennis, correct? Yeah. So Lily, 3-time all-state person in IHSA. So congratulations. All right, thank you, girls.
Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, you stayed for that.
The track. You want to walk out, walk back in, take it?
No.
Okay.
Really told me to. Stay.
All right, track girls. Girls track, come on in. All right, girls, we're going to do kind of the same thing. We'll have you introduce yourselves. We'll talk about our achievements, accomplishments. We have a couple of different ones, right, with our state qualifiers and then Apollo Conference champions. So who wants to step up? Emily, why don't you step up and tell us a little bit about the team as a season? So go ahead, put you on the spot.
All right. So to qualify for state, we qualified for state in the 4x8, which was Kaylin, Ellie, Brooke, and then me. And then Tegan qualified in shot put. And then for the 4x4, we qualified for state. It was Zion, Ciasia, Michaela, and me as well.
All right, so
And then Tegan.
and then yeah, Tegan for shot, right? Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, so Tegan, go ahead, tell us about your accomplishment as well.
What was his name?
You're the Apollo Conference champ.
Oh yeah. So not to brag or anything, but I've won Apollo 2 years in a row now. I don't know. I just feel happy
if you would give us your name, and then if you're a senior, again, I know some are repeats, they can repeat, but tell us what your plans are for the future. Go ahead.
I'm Zion Johnson.
I'm Ciasia Lee. I'm Michaela Brown, and I'm going to Edwardsville for majoring in psychology.
I'm Tegan again. I'm going to Lakeland. I'm majoring in social work.
I'm Emily Maple. I'm going to Lakeland to play basketball and study pre-chiropractic.
I'm Brooke Joe. I'm Ellie Miller.
I'm Kayla Ryan.
All right, congratulations, girls. Do I have any tennis, boys tennis athletes out there? Any of my guys make it? Well, Coach Boyer's on vacation, so he may not have pushed it real hard with them. But we want to recognize our boys tennis team. Our boys tennis team won conference. They're conference champions. And then also for the first time in 5 or 6, I think 2015 was our last team sectional champion, but our tennis team was sectional champions this year. So Coach Boyer has a great program going girls side and boys side, and we're really excited about what he's got going with that program. So congratulations to our boys tennis team for their accomplishments this year. Okay. And I'm going to invite Chess up. Chess, come on up. All right, so we got a gathering here with chess. Mark, I will let you introduce and tell us a little bit about your chess season.
Thank you. My name is Mark Stevert, and I am the assistant coach for the team, and I've been doing it for, I think, 10 years now. Gavin Marjorie, okay, he is our second board, and then Keenan Kirsch, 6, right? 7. He was floated between 6 and 7 board. And they are the only 2 that came that were performing from state, but ultimately, overall, the team did very well this year. It's probably the best year I've ever seen our team do as a chess team. We placed second out of the entire division, so that is amongst 10 other teams, with a record of 22 wins, 12 losses, and a draw. We ended up taking third at sectionals, and the only teams that we did well, the only team we lost to was the top team in our division. But because of tiebreak points, we ended up with third. Ultimately, Gavin here, he placed 7th out of the entire division for top points for an individual player, which is like points that are distributed by the boards. But he took 7th overall, and then Josh also took 8th overall, which is our one board who couldn't make it. And that's out of 81 total players. So they did exceptionally well.
So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves, okay? Let us know.
Gavin Marjorie.
Okay. All right, there they are, right?
Right? They are returning players.
They are returning players.
Another great season.
So we're building on it. And I've had in 2 back-to-back years of qualifying for state, right, Coach? Okay, 3 years. Sorry, excuse me, 3 years. I've had the fortune of the cool fortune of getting to go up. If you've never been to the state chess meet, it's pretty intense up there. They take it pretty serious. Now downstairs in the Skittles room, that's what it's called, where they all hang out and practice. It's fun, kind of laid back. But when you go up in the room, there's no cell phones. Those are no talking. You got to stand 6 feet back from the table and just kind of stare over like this and say, "Seemed good." And you go down to the next floor like, "All right, here we go. This is good things." But it's a really cool experience. I'm so proud of the team for what they do and the time that they put in. And it's not something that we normally build up, but it's something that we want to grow. So we appreciate you, Coach, for your years of it. And guys, keep it up. Talk to more individuals, because chess is co-ed, right? So you could be boys or girls on the chess team. But we want to grow those opportunities for our students at MA Chess. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Coach, for the time that you put in. Absolutely. And before I turn it back over to the real business at hand, I think that's everybody I got, right? But I do want to say, if you haven't heard about our summer camps that we have going on at Mattoon High School, it's an awesome experience for the kids in our community. Free camps this year, 3rd through 8th grade. We have 13 different options for them to attend. And we had, I think right around 390 kids do the pre-sign up, but we have several that are just showing up day of or whatever. So it's been a really cool experience. We want to get kids involved. We want to get kids an opportunity to try something that they maybe have never tried before. So it's cool to see kids come out and just I've never really done, basketball, but I want to see if I'd like it. And they get that opportunity. It doesn't cost anything. It's a great option for families here in our community so that we continue to grow our programs and athletics here at Mattoon. So thank you very much for the support that all of you do put in. I know I do appreciate it, and so do the kids. So thank you very much, board, for your support in that as well.
Item 2.2, non-agenda visitors. I have 2 slips. Ladies first, Rebecca Darman.
I wondered, has the school board been approached by any companies like Verizon wanting to give a contract for cell phone towers by the school, on school property? I'm really glad to hear that because this is happening all over the country. And I just was wanting to urge the school board to, if you are approached, please be, due diligence and all that. But what happens is these tech companies come in and they offer you a contract, and it's leased for 5 years, and to put up towers, cell towers. But they say with renewal options, but it's all on their side. They have the option to renew in increments of 5 years, up to 30 to 35 years. And once the school signs this, the school board signs, it's done. You're committed like up to 30 or 35 years. And the problem is they're finding more and more, thousands of studies have been done that indicate that there are serious health effects that come from electromagnetic radiation, which is not surprising because our bodies are electrobiological, and all our body functions require the right kind of electricity, and these cell tower radiations disrupt that totally, clear down to the cell level. And they have shown that cancer, diabetes, neurological problems, even sterility, vision have been affected. There are thousands of studies, and so I just glad that they've not approached you, but if they do approach you, please don't do it. And also on the school buses, they're trying to put in school buses, the Wi-Fi. So thank you.
Thank you. Terry Love.
Good evening, Board of Education, Administration, and guests. My name is Terry Leffler. I was a Greenway. I have lived here most of my life. I graduated in 1979. I sat right at your table in Ms. Weaver's chair for 4 years as a member of the Board of Education. I was a Pride of the Greenway band booster parent for 4 years, 3 of those as an officer. If you remember seeing the kitchen sink at a football game at halftime on senior night, that was because of me. That was my legacy. In the past few years, this administration has slowly and methodically been disposing of the WAVE logo. A statement to the public: as a district, we are utilizing a Block M logo, which has seen many variations over the years. By choosing to brand consistently across the district, we are attempting to establish a district identity, which is easily recognizable throughout our community and beyond. Also, along with creating a sense of pride, maintaining a constant brand can also enhance recruitment and retention efforts in an already competitive environment and generate opportunities for partnerships, sponsorship, and community involvement initiatives that can benefit students and the larger school community. In your statement, it says to establish an identity that is recognizable. I attended a meeting in Decatur this weekend with 30 other men from Decatur. They all say they know Mattoon as the Green Wave. They would not know them as an M. The marching band is known as the Pride of Green Wave Marching Band. We have the Wavette dance team, Green Wave singers, Green Wave runners, and many others. What are they now going to be? The M's? What will an Ansler football game say? The M's are at the 40-yard line? It just doesn't sound very good. At sports functions, where the band is in attendance, for the pep rally, we would always hear the drum major yell, "Hail Green Wave." And the crowd would repeat "Green Wave," and they would repeat this on and on. I really don't think "Hail M" will sound very good. Your statement also said the wave is not trademarked. Unless things have changed, I can tell you from 22 years in the printing business, you cannot trademark an M. An M is a letter of the alphabet, and anyone can use it. The statement also mentions, I do not believe Matt Toon has any issues with recruiting. I've had the opportunity to attend recruiting day at EIU, and most of the schools are allowed 1 table and 2 administrators. There's usually many future teacher recruits lined up for Matt Toon. I saw 3 tables with 6 administrators for Matt Toon, with still people lined up because they want to come to Matt Toon to teach. You will probably say the Green Wave is not going away. I do not believe your statement tells me differently. I watched the presentation Mr. Duckett gave in May at the school board meeting. Do you want to stop?
Go ahead and just wrap up.
Okay. I heard him say how proud he was of this new logo, the M. He's excited to see it. But I'll tell you why I feel the M is gone. The wave is gone. On the west wall of the main gym, there used to be a wave. Above it, home of the Green Wave, class of 1979. My class paid for that. It's gone. We're preparing for a reunion. We've talked amongst all of us. Not one of us knows of anyone that was ever contacted. Do you want to save this? Do you want it to continue? Can we take it down? Would you like to pay to have it refurbished? We would have done so if we were ever contacted. So I'll skip a little bit here. I really don't think most of you understand what it really means to us. This community is the Green Wave. That's how much it means to me. And they're proud to be. I was proud of the Green Wave. I was proud of be part of the band. I was proud to step down. I am not an M.
Mr. Leffler. Item 3, consent agenda. That includes the following. 3.1A, approval of the minutes for the regular board meeting of May 14th, 2024. 3.1B, executive session minutes of May 14th, 2024. Under 3.2, financial payment of bills, the monthly financial reports by fund, and the FY24 budget to actual report. Item 3.3, approval of the enrollment report. Item 3.4, approval of a resolution regarding the corporate personal property replacement tax distribution for fiscal year 2025. Item 3.5, approval of freedom of information report. Item 3.6, approval of the K-12 science adoption materials presented May 14th, 2024. And item 3.7, approval of board policies presented on May 14th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda? Motion by Ashley Overton. Do I have a second? Second by Erica Weavers. Any discussion? Hearing none. Callie, would you please call the roll?
Armstrong,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Uphoff,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes. Item 4, reports and recommendations to the business manager. Mr. Gear.
All right, thank you. Every year this time, we talk about board action to approve property casualty, school board legal, workers' compensation, and other commercial policies. We work with Diamond Brothers. They're our agents. They go out and try to find bids for us and quotes for us, and then Greg Smith comes to us with what he thinks is best and gives us a recommendation. So the last several years, we've gone with ICRMT for the whole package. This year, we had a couple different bids, and we are recommending that the district renew our property, liability, cybersecurity insurance with ICRMT for the upcoming 24-25 school year package. That portion would be $318,638. The second part is workman's compensation insurance for the district. The quote this year is for $276,693. That's from United Heartland. Their bid or their price was better than ICRMT for this portion. So the combination of the two together would be $595,331. Last year, we paid $536,169, all to ICRMT. So this year would be a $59,162 increase, which is an increase of 11%. Again, insurance gets more expensive every year from your homeowners to everything you do. Greg went out, shopped this out, worked really hard for us, and these are the best deals we can come up with. And so the administration recommends approval of going with these two companies, ICRMT and United Heartland, for our district insurance coverage. Questions?
Questions for Mr. Gear on this? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the bids as presented? Yeah. Motion from John Hedges, second from Ashley Overton. I'm going to be abstaining from this vote, but Callie, is there discussion? Callie, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Uphoff,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Ryder.
I'm abstaining. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Gear.
4.2, board action to solicit bids for district photography contract. We had a lengthy discussion last board meeting about this. The board asked me to come up with an RFP or start the process. And so today we're asking that we have permission to solicit bids for student pictures, elementary and Franklin yearbooks, MHS graduation and special events photos, and also solicit bids for sports photography at MHS and MMS. Proposals will be due June 26th. 2024 at 10 a.m. at the board office. And then we will ask board approval to choose on, or to approve who the committee selects on in the July board meeting. The proposals will be scored with a rubric by committee of administrators and teachers from the district. So this is ready to go in the paper tomorrow, and I will send it out to the 4 vendors who have reached out to me. I've already reached out to them and told them that it will be coming out tomorrow so they can prepare for that. So the administration recommends that the board give approval to solicit bids for a district photography contract.
Do I have a motion according to the presentation?
Motion.
Motion from Erica Weaver. Second? Yeah. Or Cheryl. Second, Cheryl or I? Whoever. Okay. Second, Jacob. All, any discussion?
I have a couple questions. Is that, Brian, how long do they normally have to bid when you put out a bid?
I mean, we've had things anywhere from 10 days to a month, so I mean, 2 weeks should be plenty of time for that.
Yeah, school code requires 10 days for it to be posted publicly, so it gives them two full business weeks for them to reach out and ask any questions. But this gives us a little bit over that. So we posted tomorrow.
And the 4 companies who I put in proposals before, who I reached out to, I told them all it would be 14 days from when I showed out to let them. So none of us had any concern with that.
And another question, and I could follow up with the email, but last month we were going to vote for the contract and consent agenda. Is it possible for you to send us, I didn't see the contract, could you send that contract out that we were gonna vote on last month?
It wasn't, we didn't have a contract from them, we just had, I guess it was a proposal, but they're all gonna have to submit a proposal now. So that's kind of a moot point to have that proposal because it's not gonna go along with the guidelines I've set up for the RFP.
So it wasn't a contract last month?
No, it was just a proposal. Again, we make no money and we spend no money on this as a district.
Any other questions for Mr. Gear? Callie?
Overton,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Uphoff,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes. 4.3, presentation on programmatic
All right,
expenses.
the next one, just kind of some informative information. We've had some questions about programmatic expenditures and revenues and things like that. So I just put together a couple short slides here just to kind of go over some things. If you remember from the beginning of the year, this was in your financial packet. You got revenue breakdown. You know, we get it from local sources, state sources, and federal sources. This was the breakdown for our budget this year, which will be, I thought it was kind of a good idea to revisit this. We'll be amending the budget here in a couple weeks on June 28th. Again, a pie graph over here, the same thing. And then our local sources, we do tax extensions, we have rentals, school fees, CPPRT, which is corporation tax. We get donations, we have interest on our investments, tuition, entry fees, our food service, when parents pay money in to get their kids their food, if they don't follow the CEP, if they buy extra food, I guess it should be. and the CSFT, which is our sales tax money, which is all local. State sources, evidence-based funding, state grants, like, which basically does our preschool and our birth to 3 programs. We also get state transportation reimbursement. And then we have federal sources like Medicaid, title grants, our ESSERS grant, and then our CEP meal revenue that I talked about a little bit ago. So these are our revenues. And again, our revenues should be over 50 million this year. You know, that's how we pay for things. And we do have some other things built in that we get some revenue from our programming that we do, but most of it is from state and federal and taxes. You know, schools are good money makers. We're not making money. We're not in the business to make money. We're in the business to educate kids. So, you know, all this money comes in. We spend a lot of it on salaries, you know, supplies, purchase service, things like that. So what I've done is just gone through some of our high school programs. And so like LIFT, and these are salaries of our teachers for these programs, our educators for these programs. Their benefits, purchase services is like, you know, things that we buy from companies, like if we have a subscription to something, that's a purchase service, and then our supplies as well, okay? And then revenue for the specific program. So if you look at LIFT on our teachers, and this is up to date as of this morning, I ran these reports this morning. So far this year on these 4 things, we've spent almost $883,000. We brought in revenue, almost $317,000. And the revenue that we've received for those things is some tuition, our daycare, when the parents bring their little kids to drop them off at the daycare, they pay weekly, and donations and fundraisers that we've done over there as well, okay? So the expenses cover about 36% of those expenditures. Now, we have other expenditures, I know. You know, we pay bills and we have utilities and things like this, but this is kind of just broken up into our salaries, benefits, purchase services, supplies that our teachers use for those programs. If you look at our athletic programs, just at the high school, between coaches, AD, between paying referees, which that's a big purchase service for us, almost $100,000 goes to referees every year to ref our sports, over $534,000. We don't bring in a whole lot of money at the district level from our sports, from our athletics. This is our ticket revenue at the door for football and basketball games, volleyball games, things like that. So again, not a huge moneymaker. So the district brings in about 5% of what we put out for our athletic programs. If we look at our MHS-CTE, this is ag, you know, our child care, building trades, graphic arts, things like that. We spend about $985,000, or we have so far this year, on teachers' benefits, purchase services, and supplies. And then we brought in $341,000. Biggest chunk of that is ours, $259,000. So, you know, we bring in a little bit of money from ag grants. Monsanto, we had a grant, I know, EP's grant, and just like the biggest part of that is our building trades house. And again, that comes out of there too. So we spent about $240,000 and made about $250,000. So we made about $10,000 on the house. And then driver's ed, the driver's ed car, teachers, summer drivers. Teachers are there all summer with kids. And then we get a reimbursement from the state that we've got this year is just over $26,000. So 21.1%. So these are just some expenditures and some programmatic costs and revenues that we have for some of our programs at the high school. So just to kind of give you an overview of some things, and you can kind of compare some of our programs. You know, we talked about as a team, like putting up like science department, but science department's not bringing in any money. It would just all be money out. You know, you're not making much money teaching science and things like that. So these are some things that do bring in some revenue, but also have some expenses as well. Okay. And then the last thing is just want to remind us, you know, of our fiscal responsibility. These are our profile scores from our AFR for the last several years. Again, 155 days cash on hand. The state recommends we have 180 days. We're trying to build to that. But again, our finances have been in good order and should be again, hopefully, when we meet again on June 28th. So just want to get an overview of some things. Nothing to act on here, just wanted to present some things. So any questions or comments or concerns?
Questions for Mr. Green?
I have several questions. And Ryan, I realize you weren't here when we started LIFT, and
Right.
so I'll have some questions for the board, but this is the only opportunity because of OMA for us to have a conversation and a discussion. And in March, the numbers look a little different, and maybe you could help me, Ryan, and it could be because we're not gonna spend it all. but the budget was 1.2 million in March. Now, if we can go back a slide, you're saying it's 882,000. Are
So-
we under from the budget?
No, so there are some other things in the budget, administrative costs, secretary costs, custodian costs that are not included.
Okay.
So that would be the difference there.
And then revenue looks a little different too, because you have 316,000, and in March it was 258,000, so is that?
So we brought in, daycare brings in quite a bit of money weekly, we get,
Sure.
parents are paying for their daycare weekly, so we do bring in quite a bit. I think we brought in $135,000 in daycare fees this year.
Okay.
And we've had some additional donations, since March.
So I have a few questions. So I'm looking at numbers and crunching them, and with the 1 point, let's just keep it really simple. So, and I'm hoping to maybe you could shed some light on this, and board, like, you went on some trips and saw other buildings, and other opportunities, and I think we would all agree that a school should have trades. A high school program should have trades, and you see on the board that we have other things like CTE, et cetera, et cetera. So this is not a trade issue, but to me, it's an expense issue. And so we kind of talked a little bit about it in March, like we have to measure things in order to manage them. And so a few questions that I have is, if the budget is 1.2 million, in order to be solvent, you know, we talked, Dale, you said in March, this program was gonna be a 3 to 5 years. We just finished year 3, so we have 2 more years. If it's a $1.2 million budget, say that. Oh, this is only the second year. I thought we were finishing, I'm sorry. So if it's a 1.2 million budget, if we accept, if the tuition is $1,000, it's 1,200 students. Last year, we were at 386 students. So I'm wondering, like, and of those 386 students, 64% of them were MAC 2, so they didn't pay tuition. So what are your thoughts about the costs? Because if the tuition is $1,000 and we take the leftover money, we basically are paying each student who takes a lift class today, it's $3,400. You take the 1.2 million and you divide it by 363 students, it's close to, it's $3,400 and some change. So essentially, the student from out of town is paying $1,000. And I'm wondering who's paying the other $2,400?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, who's paying the other $2,400? It's included in our programmatic costs. So the board which approved the budget in September, that's what was inclusive in that. So I guess if that's what you're asking.
So the budget is, so are we talking about, you know, like I just got my property tax bill and it says, you know, the first thing on my bill is Neptune School District. And so are we talking about property tax money? Are we talking about state money that we're
You
getting?
want to go back to your first?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, yeah, I mean, I guess that's a very layered question because, you know, we don't say, all right, the tax extension money, this $100 goes here and this $100 goes here. It's basically, it's money in, money out, it's revenue. So we take our whole revenue with which are all of these things added together. When I set up my budget, I put them in, I have a Excel sheet with all our revenues. And then I go over and I have an Excel sheet, which is 2,000 lines long, that has all our expenses. So we don't necessarily match up and say, all right, we use EBF money for this dollars, and we use, I mean, sales tax money is pretty much the only one we do because it has to be put on projects. So that's kind of its own little caveat thing. But, you know, all these other things like CPPRT, you know, some of it goes into our 50 fund and the rest of it goes into our 20 fund. But it's not said in our 20 fund, CPPRT is buying Dustin a truck, you know, or maintenance guy's a truck. It's just kind of over the whole pot of money in the whole pool. Right? So does that make sense? I mean, it's not like every dollar in this is accounted for and every dollar in this.
So for example, I looked at the schools that are coming to the lift. So Shelbyville is one school. They have a proficiency in math of 33 to our 9.8%. Casey Westfield, a 31% proficient in math. Arcola, 17% proficient in math. Cumberland, 17% math proficiency. Tuscola, 17%. Oakland, 16%. Kansas, 15%. Arthur, 14.8% proficient. Sullivan 14%, Charleston 12%, Windsor 10%, Willowbrook 9.8%, is Manitoun at 9.8%, and Shiloh at 8%. So I'm struggling with, we have a Charleston student, it doesn't matter which student, take Shelbyville, we have 4 Shelbyville students that come to the lift, and it's $2,400. We times that by 4 and it's $10,000. Are we taking property tax money? Are we taking some of the money to educate Mattoon students to basically cover the cost for the out-of-town students?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that goes to the slide that Brian broke down, like, that's what happens with all of the funds that come in. I mean, we obviously have athletics, we have high school CTE programming, we have driver's ed, which, by the way, is not state required to offer driver's ed, but that's all included in that revenue for the entire budget. And then what's expended on that is what the board approves at the September budget meeting. So I guess, does that help offer some clarity as to how the money flows from a financial perspective? That, yeah, it includes property taxes, it includes state sources. What you see, our local sources are higher than our state sources, but it also incorporates those federal grants that we've included in our revenue.
Well, the state monies are higher because we have lower academic performance, right? We get support from the state to help fill the gap.
Well, if you've got a couple hours, Ryan can run you through the 27 variables, but it's, there's the new evidence-based funding formula, which I think Ryan shared a high-level view of this, but there's multiple variables that go into calculating how each school district is ranked or tiered, if you will. And we're currently still in tier 1, which receives the largest portion of funding from the state. Now, tier 2 is a staggered lesser amount, a lesser pool of money that's then distributed to all school districts. And then tier 3 are districts that get a very minimal portion of state funding. So from your perspective, they're more property tax rich than they are state sources, state funded. So there are multiple factors that we can sit down and actually, I think Ryan, I'm not gonna put him on the spot, but he can pull it up from the ISB website and it can show the breakdown for each school district.
Ask you all on that. So what you're saying is it's like Highland Park, where a North Shore suburb would be more of a tier 3 because their property taxes are significantly.
I don't know that without going to look at that resource, but
A
yes.
very rich community. Property values.
Yes.
Property value. Right.
And that was adjusted back in 2017 or 18, I think, from a funding formula that, in an attempt, I think, to make it more equitable for school districts that needed some additional state funding.
I would say it's more relied on the fact that the amount of local tax dollars that go in, and the state's trying to match or make up for what the local isn't putting in. Like John said, the suburbs, where they have all this huge tax base. They're tier 4, and they're splitting up less than 1% of the pot from all those schools, whereas the tier 1s, they're split up 50%, and then tier 1 and 2 split up the 50 and the next 40, or the next 45, so there's only 5% go to those tiers 3 and 4 combined.
So what do you think as a board, John, Ashley, like, that we're supplementing the $2,400? What are your thoughts about that?
What's my, well, what do you say, about 66% of our students are from that town?
Correct.
Is that, I don't have the numbers in front of me, that was the right
Yeah,
number?
yeah, so it's 64%.
Well, I think we all agreed as a board to go down this road anyway, so I personally am okay with giving, we're having 67% of our students, or not, of the attendance at LIFT going there. Those teachers are still gonna be there, those bills are still gonna be there, so if we invite other other districts, we're really not out a whole lot more money.
What do you think, Ashley? Did you go see other
Yeah,
buildings like Lyft?
yeah, I went to Central 9 in, Indiana, and it was much bigger, more, programs available, lots of students, and I feel like it's a great opportunity, and I I know they're only paying $1,000 right now to attend, but the majority of the students there are our students. And kind of like what John said, the teachers would be there anyway. And I knew that it would take a while to get it full over there because people are afraid to try new things, and that kind of thing. And with the opportunity of all of our community members, businesses donating money to help offset some of those costs, it just speaks volumes, I think, for our community and how it's supporting life. And I agree with John, we all just kind of decided to go down this road.
I've personally never heard anybody in the Mattoon community say Lyft is mixed. I've never once heard it. I've heard a lot of things, but I've never heard I think the Mattoon community as a whole wholeheartedly supports mustard. And I'm with them. I support it as well. And I mean, like Ryan said earlier, we're not a money. Like we're not a business. Like if I owned a business and it was losing money year after year, then I'm out of business. But in a school district setting, we get money and then we pay out our bills. I mean, we're not in it. I mean, yeah, we have a couple loans here, but I mean, we're in a recognition status with 155 days of cash on hand. I'd say when that accountant was here for that audit, he said we're in great shape. So I don't see, no offense to you or anything, I just don't see the issue myself.
I have the whole LIFT program was long before my tenure of being on the board. So I look at it in a different way than the people who were on the board who voted it in. I remember reading about it in the newspaper when it was going through, and I thought, wow, that's going to be expensive. And as a taxpayer, I look at it as being, $1.2 million and the mortgages that we have on it. I mean, I think it's a Cadillac program. I am not saying that I think it's a wonderful program, but I also look at it, it's an expensive program. So, I guess that's my comment. It's just that there are a lot of expenses to not necessarily right now serving a lot of our students. I hope to see that increase. I hope that more and more students take advantage of it because I do look at it as a huge mortgage. And I look at mortgages all my life. I've been so as a being in real estate. So.
Eric, what do you think?
I'm impressed by it. I didn't, my timing was just off. My parents should have held off like 5 years. But, so I didn't get to experience that, even being a younger person. But I think it needs to grow. I think we need to have more students in it. And I am expecting and hopeful that there will be. And I think inviting and having other students from other schools in it will help with that. For instance, I can just imagine a scenario in my head at like the conference track meet per se, and you're talking to the person that you pole vault against in Charleston, and they're asking you, hey, why aren't you at the Lyft building? I drive all the way from Charleston and I love it, So I think there's an opportunity for growth there, inviting and having other schools in the building. And once you're in it, I can't see how, as a student, once you just went for like a week, you just step in the building, how you couldn't just fall in love with it. And that's why I think, having a respectful amount of patience for it going forward to get the numbers up to where we can justify the expenditures to the students impacted, to Cheryl's point, I think will be good to see.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with, the idea of having more students, they connect, and I see it with my children, with athletics, they connect across schools. And it's a cost issue for me, and figuring out how do we manage a $1.2 million when the last year we lost $977,000. I mean, it's close to $1 million a year we are losing with the Lyft. The tuition for the out-of-town students was $445,000. If we took the whole $3,500, it's close to $500,000. What I have from the March numbers, which are a little lower than what you presented today, Ryan, they don't cover the out-of-state tuition. the $83,800 in tuition, the donations of $80,000, the $95,000 from daycare, that doesn't cover the out-of-state, just the students who are out of district. And so there's an inherent cost, and I'm thinking about when you have $50 million, we have some educational needs in our district, and we need to help those students make sure that they're getting the education that they need, and so.
And I think to clarify, I think you said, what you said, $950,000 was lost? Is that what you said?
Yes, based on expenses and
I
budget.
mean, and Ryan would be happy to sit down with you, but, you go look at what we spend on our preschool programming, and I don't think you would consider that a loss. So I think that there's maybe from your perspective, in the sense that you're concerned that we may be paying for other students, I think that's something that we can discuss as a team, and if we need to come back and offer recommendations, and if you're suggesting that we need to pass on those dollars and increase tuition for other schools, I think that's one thing that the board agreed upon early on, and everyone voted on that. That was a public agreement of that intergovernmental agreement. But in addition, I think that the board also was in favor at the time, based upon their approval, to make sure that matching students were able to access these programs at no cost, at no additional cost. So I think it's difficult to say that we lost $950,000, but again, I appreciate the point if you're looking at it through a lens of a business model, which is not what a school district is.
But Tim, just to clarify, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we told business owners in Mattoon this was a business. We have a marketing budget, school districts don't have a marketing budget. We take in tuition, this was sold as.
We do have a marketing budget. You've asked for that, and we've shared that. Like, we have a district marketing budget, we have a marketing, but each of the buildings have
But we're not
money in their
marketing,
tickets.
I'm sorry, but we're not marketing on WCIA during the Sweet 16. We're not on the radio, trying to attract students to the list. So this is a different
Sure,
marketing. I get what you're saying.
but we can't have both ways here. If we're trying to recruit more students, like I think I've heard the board say, and not try and recruit, but at the same time, say that we shouldn't be spending those dollars on recruiting.
I mean, do you want to make a proposal that we increase the spending for Lyft so as to advertise on WCIA and WNCI? Because if you do, then give us your thoughts on that. If you want to spend more to market the program.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're suggesting that we need to revisit the intergovernmental agreement and then share with other school districts we wish to raise their tuition.
I think we talked about that in March, right? Is that, obviously there's pros and cons to raising the tuition, right? And I think, Ryan, you said that too, right? There's a concern. But as a taxpayer, to continue to pay $2,400 for every out-of-district student to be educated at the Lyft, I think that raises a concern. And so how you have solvency, and correct me if this isn't our goal in 5 years, is that you either lower your expenses, which is currently at 1.2, or you increase your revenue.
So help me understand, what solutions would you have to lower those costs? Removal of teachers and pathways and programs?
Can I have to clarify the question? When we did the intergovernmental or the agreement with the other schools, that was on an introductory basis, right? It wasn't going to remain at $1,000 for those students because it was a new program, because of where we were, we agreed to a temporary tuition, right? So that is something that can be revisited. It was never intended to be for the life of Lyft. It was just at that time. And I believe that was communicated to the other schools, correct?
So the board may recall a similar fashion happened when there was a new intergovernmental agreement, I think it was last December, in which e-fees had some additional things that were added. And the board, I presented to the board, here are some changes. That intergovernmental agreement has changed. Actually, I think it was over 15 years that it hadn't. So yes, I mean, to answer succinctly, yes, the intergovernmental agreement can change. However, I think if the board's direction to our team is to look at that and make a recommendation, I think that's something that we can do.
Yeah, we talk, I think what you're referring to is we talk about is what's the magic number?
Yeah.
What's the magic number that if you raise tuition, you lose kids and then you have less money coming in. So I don't know that we know that magic number. Maybe that, I think that's what the board's talking about, that you need to discuss and come up with that. It is what it is right now. And you keep saying 1,000, that's 1,000 per semester.
But based on the number of students.
Yes, yes.
And I think, Ryan, the challenge that you made this today with insurance, the expenses continue to go up. So we should assume that the expenses for Lyft are gonna go up. And if we keep the tuition rate the same, and we keep the expenses the same, that we have to look at this when there's $980,000 that were less than the budget, the money that we basically.
No, that's not correct. It's not less than the budget because that's what the board approved with it included in the budget. So it's not less than that.
Okay, so I'm looking at expenses and revenue, my fault. So the expenses are 1.2 and the revenue we bring in is 258,000. So that's where I get that.
Right, so, I mean, it's just like in your home budget, right? Like, there comes a point when something increases, and then we have to make a consideration or a sacrifice in some other area. And that can be included in Lyft. It has been in some conversations this upcoming year that the board will see in September with the budget. So there's some of those conversations that are happening all across the board. So I guess I just want to offer some clarification that it's not a loss, it's included in the total budget. So again, I go back to, I think, with Ryan's slide, I think the board has been fiscally responsible and continues to be fiscally responsible. And if there were a reason that Lyft would not be successful financially, then we would be making recommendations to the board in order to make sure that the district budget and the district finances would stay within the good graces that they are.
And the numbers we're talking about tonight, Tim, is this correct, that the $2,400 difference in out-of-district kids does not include depreciation of the building? That's not in any of these numbers,
I don't
correct?
know, right?
So we have the depreciation of the building that isn't even factored in to all of these numbers at this point.
But we have depreciation on every building in the district.
Yeah.
It's just part of it. It's like Tim said, every program we have, if you want to talk about a business model, loses money. I mean, but I don't think any money that we spend to educate kids is a loss, in my opinion. I just don't.
So one of the things that I wrestle with, is it ethical, am I bothering you, Deb?
No.
Okay. Is it ethical and legal that we use Mattoon School District property tax money and state monies to pay for a Shelbyville student, to pay for a Shiloh student, to pay, I mean, is that okay that we do that? And are you as a board okay that we do that? And if we multiply that for the number of students that we have out of district is 131 of them, which totals $444,000. And so we have to think about, is that something that is okay for us as a board, spending that money for out-of-district students?
We do that every athletic contest. We pay for whatever it costs to host a game, and teams from another district come and play. We're benefiting them because we're providing them with the facility, and we are paying for the referees.
So you look at an athletic event is the same as educating students.
So, well, no, what I'm suggesting is that we don't build fences like I think what you're suggesting here. I personally am completely okay with giving a little extra help to a kid from Neoga or Cumberland or Tuscola who doesn't have the blessing of a Lyft in their school district so they can attend here, because that's gonna be good for everybody in the end. I'm okay with that. I mean, I understand that you're not, but I'm okay with that. And what I would suggest is, if you think we shouldn't do that, then come back with a specific proposal that raises the tuition to the level you think it needs to, so that they're paying all of their freight.
I want my tax money to go to Mattoon, not Neoga, Shelbyville, or any other damn town. My money should go there, so Ryder, if you got so much money, pay my share.
Cheryl, you're gonna say something.
Yeah. I'm mulling this over in my head. And I think it is good that we do have students from other districts that are taking off some of the expense of Lyft, because that would be a huge expense for Mattoon. I don't know where to go with the tuition. Like you said, if we want them to kind of pay their fair share, then I don't know if we're gonna have you. I don't know what the answer is, but I see, again, I just see we need a lot more kids in there to really make it cost effective. And, and not just Mattoon students. I mean, I think we need people from other districts as well to make it. The Mattoon kids are never gonna pay the expenses or, you know, of it, you know. They're not gonna pay anything of the expenses because the taxpayers are definitely paying the expenses based on this, 45% of the expenses based on property taxes, but
It's,
it is hard. It's not a very good business model. I mean, you know, when you do look at it as a business model, it doesn't work at all. I mean, as far as a business.
so just so I'm getting some clarity here, would you like our team to, what would the board like our team to do?
I don't have a solution for this.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe even talking to some of the other school districts that send students and see what are they willing to pay? I mean, you know, if it goes up to $1,500 for a semester or $2,000, I mean.
Yeah, and I don't think all the districts don't cover the cost, the student, the parents are on some of, it's an agreement within their own district on if they choose to assist. Some of them pay half, some of them pay zero, some of them pay it all. I mean, every school district is different in what they are willing
That's
to do.
left up to their boards
Mhm.
to determine
Yeah.
that agreement. I mean, if it'd be helpful, I'd be happy to share that agreement with the board again.
Well, I think like adding more Mattoon kids does not solve the problem, right? It means now we have just 2 high schools. And then we're having 2 principals and 2 expenses. I mean, having a lift that's just full of Mattoon students, basically what we purchased is a second high school. So the idea of having lift with out-of-town students was the model, right? And that's what you guys seen when you went to visit other schools. And I don't know the solution, Tim, but I think a administrative team needs to come with a plan. I think you need to come and say, here's how we're going to offset the expenses and the revenue.
And Heidi, we did, and you approved it in a
Okay.
public session,
Okay.
just like the board, just like the rest of the board did. I mean,
So
so if
now-
you're suggesting that we need to do something different, then I think our team just needs some guidance on what do you want to see done differently?
So another clarifying question, we did require that certain spaces with certain seats at Lyft will remain available to Mattoon students. So if the issue is increasing out of Mattoon for students in terms of increasing the revenue, whether it's getting more students who pay $1,000 or who pay $1,500, then are we then also considering or recommending that we reduce the number of seats that we reserve for Mattoon students? Because even though we want other students from around this region to come into this district and attend Lyft, we still want to provide that education and those opportunities to our students. And so are we going to then suggest that we reduce those seats for Mattoon students when we are literally saying we want Mattoon students to have that opportunity? Our students get to go to Health Up, they get to do a lot of other things. So are we saying we want less Mattoon students and we want to have a primary base of students who are not a part of Mattoon Community School District?
How many students can we serve at Lyft? I mean, what's the plane, do you, I mean, how many seats, like Eric said, how many seats do we have?
We estimated 400 seats
Per section,
for an entire day.
for the entire 3 different sections.
Yeah.
And the 6 schools.
What I recall, and I realize there's only 4 of us still here that were on the board when the LIP vote.
No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so what I recall during that time is that we basically asked the administration for a 3 to 5 year window. We just finished year 2. In my opinion, this is just my opinion here, I still want to honor that, 3 to 5 years. And then if, we want to meet in the middle at 4 and then reevaluate at that point. But that's what I recall, is a 3 to 5 year window on Lyft. And I think that's fair. I mean, for a business model in any matter, like 3 to 5 years would probably, you're gonna either make it or not at that point, right? And I'm not a business owner myself, but So in my opinion, I'm still staying with that. We're staying on the tracks until we hit at least year 4. That's me personally.
Yeah, I think I guess I have a question. When you say like loss, I just keep going back to that. I mean, I know it's the numbers. I get it. I understand the numbers. It is, as far as the numbers go, it is a net loss by a lot, right? Which is your main, right? That's your main concern, right? That amount of money that this district is fortunate enough to spend is a win, in my opinion, because we're able to spend that amount of money and still remain fiscally responsible with 155 days of cash on hand and be able to impact lives in a way that nobody else is doing. In how many mile area, the closest center like lift, So if we can remain financially responsible, spend that amount of money for that amount of resource across the street and have that thing filled with Mattoon kids and a few kids from other areas, I mean, I think that's a good thing. And I appreciate where you're coming from on the numbers, but I guess I choose to look at the opportunity and the resources that we're giving children, students, and to be able to afford it, to be able to remain financially responsible in the same breath, I think is incredible. So that's where I think I land on the whole thing.
Anything else? All right, item 5, reports and recommendations of the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Dr. Spooksy.
All right, we're in the June personnel report.
Thank you.
So you see, we have some certified resignations. Joy Miller resigned, Williams Elementary School's art teacher, effective at the end of the 23-24 school year. Certified appointments. Kelsey Betts, Mattoon High School graduate. Riddle Elementary School, 4th grade, recommended effective at the 24-25 school year. Courtney Hayes, Mattoon High School graduate, recommending William Elementary School grade 1 and 2 blended teacher, effective at the beginning of the 24-25 school year. Grace Vance, recommending as substitute teacher, effective immediately. Jonah Bennett, recommending resigning as Riddle Elementary School parapro, effective June 4th, 2024. Lauren Carter did a great job as a school nurse over at Williams Elementary School. She resigned effective May 22nd, 2024. Continuing with classified resignations, Trevin Cornwell resigned as Riddle Elementary School building tech, effective June 15th, 2024. He's going to study to be a teacher full time, so we're supporting that. This one right here, this is going to hurt across the district. Carla Duffer is retiring, longtime high school secretary registrar, December 31st, 2025. She will have then spent 32 years in the district. So anybody from 1993 forward, if anybody's ever requested a transcript from our high school, she's touched it. So she's touched thousands and thousands of those. So she's done a great job. We wish her well in retirement. Thank you for her service. Connie Gilman is resigning Riddle Elementary School supervisor effective immediately. Dennis Benyon is resigning as Transportation Service Center bus aide, effective immediately. Sarah Strumming resigning as Riddle Elementary School, effective May 23rd, 2024. Classified appointments, Jessica Bogan, recommended as Mattoon High School classroom parapro, effective the 24-25 school year. Chelsea Klein, recommending as William Elementary School 101 parapro, effective at the beginning of 2024-2025 school year. Harrison Sparker, recommending as Riddle Elementary School physical ed parapro, effective at the beginning of the 24-25 school year. Stephen White, recommended as Mattoon Middle School custodian, effective June 12th, 2024. Stephen Deppen, recommended as substitute secretary, Stephanie Deppen as a secretary, paraprofessional supervisor, effective immediately, all those sub areas. Connie Gilman, again, recommending substitute supervisor, effective immediately. Alicia Meiser, recommended as Mattoon Middle School graduate assistant, effective for the beginning of the 24-25 school year. Laura Potter, volunteer, recommending effective immediately. Doing some extracurricular resignations. Ellie Cowling resigning as Mattoon Middle School 6th grade girls basketball coach, effective immediately. Jennifer Saucegan resigning as Mattoon Middle School girls softball head coach, and resigning as Mattoon High School head varsity softball coach, both effective immediately. And lastly, extracurricular appointments. Kelly Halverson recommending as Mattoon High School junior varsity golf coach, effective beginning 24-25 season, and Michelle Wilson, Mattoon Middle School high school softball coach, recommending effective immediately. Are there any questions? See none, I would recommend the board they accept the personnel report as presented.
So a motion to approve the personnel report as presented. Motion from Erica Weaver, second.
Second.
Second from John Hedges. Any discussion? Kelly?
Weaver,
Yes.
Uphoff,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes. Item 6, reports and recommendations to superintendent, there's nothing there. 7, other district personnel, there's nothing there. 8, unfinished business, I don't see anything there. Item 9, new business. Okay, item 10, executive session. So for the members of the public, the board will be retiring to an executive discussion. As you can see from the agenda, it's for 2 items. 10.1, which is to discuss matters pertaining to the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, and performance or dismissal of specific employees. And 10.2, discuss placement of individual students in special education programs and other matters relating to individual students. When the board retires to executive session, when we come back out, there will be no substantive action taken. The only motion that will be presented will be a motion to adjourn. The board and relevant personnel, I believe we are going to Mr. Conrad's office for the executive
And
session.
then we'll return here for adjournment.
Yes, correct. So we have a motion to retire to executive session to discuss matters related to agenda item 10.1 and 10.2. Second motion from Ashley Overton, second from Jake Uphoff. Any discussion? Kelly?
Uphoff,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Larson, Overton,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Great.